Okay, so we're going live. Yes, it's twitch.tv/Zelda VGC. Play.pokemonshowdown.com/Zelda VGC. That's a shame. Um, pairings were linked in the Showdown server. So we're going to look at them and see who we want to watch. Say something? You might. Okay. No, I'm hearing you. It's just, I might be giving up on myself. Oh, no. No, we're good. Uh, huh. Yeah, so just find one that you do. Davidness versus Shota is actually really hype. It's a different Shota though, but it's like it's like a different Shota. Oh wait, Boyd's apparently playing. Boyd might be playing Sanvi. Yeah, Boyd's playing Sanvi. Mancuso's playing Chef. Let me just go on the stream and see if the viewers. I want to know if they can hear you. There's OVGC, the senior who won Australia versus Kinugawa, who's a really good He's a good Japanese player. From the name, did the name give it away? I think Boyd versus Sanvi. I think that's just like optimal. Yeah, I'm streaming you round one. Sorry. No, Boyd just like Boyd wanted me not to stream him as much as possible, and no, but we're streaming him. Like, yeah, no, it's me, let me just. I really hope the stream can hear you. Uh, can't read the stream chat, which is frustrating. Unless no one's speaking in stream chat. Toller, are you? What's your alt? Dimsun. Who's with you, Toller? Yo, what's good, Kazuki? Is he watching the tournament? Mr. Jellylegs, he should be inviting you. They hid their rooms. Oh no, what is this? Oh, there you go, there you go. Vamos. Is it the? It's some Gardevoir team. I don't know if it's precisely the one that won Portland. It looks like it. Yeah, Sanvi does tend to use the common teams, right? He uses, someone uses a good team, Sanvi says, ah, yes, that's good. I can, use something standard and stuff, and copies it. I really want to know if the stream can hear you. Boyd's, going with his standard method and just using whatever he wants to. There's always a basis. Okay. And um he he has the faster fake out, sure. Is it Trick Room Gardevoir? I guess I assume so with the Snorlax. Gardevoir wants to switch out here into Snorlax if Snorlax came. Um for sure. Yeah. Yep. Yep. So in this position, I expect Togedemaru to fake out the Incineroar and then Charizard to Heat Wave. Um, and so if that's the way that Jamie goes for it, Sandy has to come up with some way to beat that. Now, he can't protect the Gardevoir, right? Because Encore would come out from the Togedemaru immediately. Yeah, presumably faster. Yeah, so, smart from Sandy, he knows that you have to... Well, do you? Well, you could also just, attack with Incineroar. And because now Jamie can go for the very safe Encore Incineroar Heat Wave. And that would be really devastating. Okay, that's lucky. And Landorus, presumably Scarf. That looks like a Scarf Landorus. Is that surprising? It's not common. I would expect to drop. I would drop Spiky first. I think Encore is really good with Gengar, particularly, and so I wouldn't go for that. No, Jamie, what are you doing? It looks like that looks like a Scarf Stone Edge. I don't know why you let that happen. Yes, because you could just, yeah, and there's no way the Landorus goes for anything but a rock move there. It's not earthquaking. One thing this team doesn't have is something you can earthquake next to, which kind of sucks. You really want to be able to earthquake your partner. But this position, yeah, yeah. Okay, I can't read the stream chat, and stream can't hear you. So I'm gonna go about this in a sillier way. So I'll just talk for a bit. So my basic thought here is that the flamethrower was really powerful, and I didn't expect it because Helping Hand isn't something that really tends to come out from Togedemaru. And so let's see if the stream can hear you now. So anyway, Como-O is in a really good position now because Sanbi, because it has soundproof. And so, okay, hold on. I might need to quit Discord and come back. But, so because Como has soundproof, Gardevoir won't really be able to do much to it, and so because Como can always get the Z move off now, it'll be faster than the Gardevoir when it comes in. It'll be able to one-shot with the Flamethrower. So there aren't really any more threats to the Como-O, which is why Jamie protects it. He knows that it's going to get doubled, and so he gets the Scarf... No, the Life Orb. The Life Orb would hammer off for free, lose the Life Orb, but... Yeah, I don't know why you don't Z-move there. I don't like that. Because now Como could be Psychicked and knocked out, or the Bulu outspeeds the Gardevoir. That's the game then, I guess. I'm not really sure I understand the sequence of plays that led to that happening. It felt very strange. The Como Protect felt kind of like a read into a double, but it was probably not an optimal play because it was just an ideal time to get the Z move boost off, get your +1, make sure your Como will outspeed the Gardevoir in case it's, some weird max speed modest or something. And but Jamie protected, which worked out, but was kind of scary. Maybe it's a Jolly Life Orb Tapu Bulu? Discord's lagging, guys. I'm sorry. So, going into game 2, Sanvi is probably going to need to bring Coco. Or go for Trick Room. Those are the two potential ways to play this that I think would benefit him. Toller?
Yes.
Okay. We're doing the really silly thing where I just broadcast your voice through my speakers.
Oh, wow.
It's bad.
This is true.
So, game 2, you're invited to game 2, right?
Yes, I'm in it. Scarf Lando, Gardevoir versus Togedemaru Zardigan.
So, I think Sanvi has to go for Trick Room this game.
He's got to go for it. Yeah, he didn't really open himself up to him. He didn't open it up to himself as an option last game because he didn't even bring Snorlax. His only abuser was Incineroar, really.
He had Amoonguss. Guardiamoonguss abuses its own Trick Room.
It's fine.
But my thing is that, so my thought is that you can't let, because of Soundproof, Gardevoir is not even that great of a Como-O answer, in that it can't just spam Hyper Voice and beat the Como-O, and so I think you have to, bring Coco, or definitely set up Trick Room early. I was also unconvinced by Boit's Protect on the second to last turn of the game. I felt like it very easily could have just been Z-move for free, and he would have won the game, but he didn't feel he needed to. That's a smart switch.
Right away.
Yeah, two smart switches.
That's actually nice, because the Tapu Bulu is a big threat. We saw it a big threat last game.
Yeah, but now, Sanvi getting the switch, Bulu is still very scary because it has Life Orb, presumably Superpower.
Yep.
And so Life Orb Superpower will be really good at knocking out the Incineroar if it's, if the Bulu's not at -1. I don't know the actual damage calcs, for the record.
It seems straightforward to fake out the Bulu and Trick Room here. The only way I can see that going wrong is if Togedemaru has Encore and breaks that.
And you Encore the fake out?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Nuzzle on the Onglu. That's crazy.
That's wild.
And that was most fun.
And so now we've seen Togedemaru's full moveset, right? It's Fake Out, Helping Hand, Nuzzle, Zing Zap.
Yeah, I think we saw Zing Zap last game.
That's very strange. I wouldn't expect that.
It's hard to predict. Okay, so he's thinking the wood hammer is going to go in, but there's no attack. It's just Amoonguss existing. You know, Amoonguss has Sludge Bomb?
It has Sludge Bomb or Clear Smog. I don't know which. I assume it has one of the two, at least.
If it has Sludge Bomb, then it's like a good switch in against Blue and can KO it, but...
It's a good switch in. It's a good switch in regardless, because it can at worst spore the partner slot.
Okay, see spore and Flairblood's actually going into where Blue was. That hits him. Is that? Yeah, you mentioned dropping Focus Shield, and that's what he's done.
What'd you say?
The Togedemaru not having Protect at all.
Yeah, so presumably Focus Sash.
Yep.
Bulky Wiki Berry is an interesting set, but I'm not sure you run it when you have no Protect.
Yep.
And so that was a good switch by Boyd. You know, he gets his Fake Out pressure in, can set up the Z move, and then he can Protect to end Trick Room. So the Fake Out, yeah, gotta go into the Amoonguss to prevent the obvious, what's it called? Spore. But... Spore. And then you have to Protect to get out.
Yeah, I think you just use Spore Como and Psychic.
Yes,
Do you actually want the Togedemaru to faint this turn? You might want to not have it die. That might be better, because you don't want Blue to come in and just get rid of your Togedemaru. You don't really switch it.
That's fair. I think Togedemaru switching is safe. You could Spore the Togedemaru and Psychic the Komo if you were feeling kind of frisky.
I think it's actually better to Spore the Togedemaru.
Because then that covers for like the covers for the Charizard switch. Because Charizard feels reasonably safe coming in here. Because Spore into the Togedemaru is like not necessarily the correct play. It doesn't feel right. And so Jamie might feel emboldened enough to switch in his Charizard, get it in, you know, put the fire type pressure on the Gardevoir.
I feel it's the straightforward thing to do here is switch into Blue.
Yes, the straightforward thing.
That's still going to be threatened by Amoonguss anyway.
Yes, so the straightforward thing to do here is switch in Bulu, and that's why I advocated for hyper voicing, because that catches the Togedemaru and does good damage to the Bulu if the Bulu switches in. But I realize that that doesn't make too much sense because the Bulu outspeeds. So what might be better is going for something like Sludge Bomb into the Togedemaru and Psychic the Komo-O.
Either Sludge Bomb or Spore. And I think you Sludge Bomb it. Yeah.
Oh, it's slow
paralyzed, so it doesn't actually outspeed. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
so
he does Spore.
He does Spore, trying to catch the Charizard. And Psyshock.
Sort of relevant.
Yeah, so that's why you might have wanted to go for like a Spore Hyper Voice in the opposite side. There's a phone call.
Yeah. I mean, Como has 20 higher defense and special points. So Psyshock's actually going to do a lot less than Psychic would. I don't think it limits it to a KO, but...
So my understanding is that Como tends to be minus defense nature.
Okay.
Yeah, because you want to spread your, you don't want to reduce your damage for obvious reasons, and you often tend to use close combat instead of Focus Blast. So you run minus physical nature because Como takes a lot more special attacks. So in this position,
the list there's not really a strong way of that.
So in this position, you need to start doing some stuff. Gardevoir Protect, switch in Incineroar potentially.
That's a thought.
I feel like that's
you're
very safe.
expecting Flamethrower from Como for sure, and there's no way to one-shot Blue, at least until you get to Amoonguss's turn.
Yeah, and I don't think Gardevoir can one-shot Como-O, so it doesn't really make sense to me to go for the knockout on it, considering that Bulu can just return KO you.
Gardevoir is preventing, or Bulu is preventing Gardevoir from just setting up TR right away.
Yep. So you can't just do something like that, and I don't think you want to go for something like Protect Gardevoir Sludge Bomb, because the double into the Amoonguss is too reasonable with Flamethrower or Woodhammer. So yeah, there's the Protect, there's the Incineroar.
And now you can set up TR pretty safely.
Yes, if you want to.
Okay.
You don't have to set up Trick Room. So one thing you could go for here is just fake out the blue Hyper Voice or Psyshock.
I mean, you could even Flare Blitz the blue right away, since it's slower than Incineroar.
That is true.
Okay, close combat gets it. Well, you can't, because now we know it has close combat.
Yeah, you can't because of the CC. At neutral defense, it shouldn't take a Psyshock, yeah. So then you've traded efficiently.
Yeah, I think that's good for Sanity.
Yes, for sure. Then you go into Landorus. And then, but if Togedemaru came in, you were going to switch out immediately into Amoonguss. So now Hyper Voice Stone Edge is free. Because I think -2 Life Orb Bulu shouldn't one-shot Landorus. I say shouldn't.
Or Gardevoir, for that matter.
It doesn't matter if it KOs Gardevoir, because Amoonguss Landorus should beat Charizard Bulu at that point.
Yeah, you just need to hit the Stone Edge and not get Heat Wave.
Does this Charizard have Heat Wave? Yeah, probably.
That's sort of the question.
So, yep, Stone Edge, Hyper Voice.
Paralysis. Game's over.
Ah. Well, no, game's still not over.
Okay, Stone Edge can miss.
Stone Edge can miss. Something you could go for here if you were feeling... No, you definitely still just Hyper Voice.
Oh, okay.
Yep, okay, Stone Edge hit. Game 3.
Good job, Stone Edge. You did
Yes.
a great job.
Yep. So that's the problem with paralyzing your own Pokemon to take advantage of Trick Room.
Yep, Trick Room runs out.
Trick Room runs out, and then you're paralyzed.
I'm surprised he's running Zingzap over Super Fang if he has Nuzzle.
I'm surprised he's running Nuzzle and Helping Hand.
Yeah. That's also a thought. What in particular surprises you about that?
Helping Hand didn't feel like the correct choice on this team. I think when you're running Mega Gengar, Encore Disable is very strong. And I don't
think you have to run Encore Disable, though. I think it's strong even without that.
That is true, but it is nice. Oh yes, we are still Vamosing. Okay, so game 3.
Almost.
How does so Boit showed that he just kind of loses to Trick Room. So how does he not lose to Trick Room? Also, Sanvi had the really good plan of switching in Incineroar turn 2, because Jamie doesn't have a lot of great ways to hit Incineroar, like, at the early game. He's very good at, creating a way to hit Incineroar by switching Bulu into the Incineroar later, having the Life Orb superpower, getting the Z-move off with Kamo-O and getting the close combat. He can create ways to hit Incineroar, but it's very hard to punish a turn 1 Incineroar switch-in. And turn 2 Fake Out is a... And turn 2 Fake Out, when your opponent has Fake Out, far better than turn 1 Fake Out.
I feel like we're incentivized to try to do sort of the same thing, right? I don't know if you really want to use Togekiss here, although that's an option since it's against TR, but it doesn't really get around Hyper Voice. You're really just trying to protect your Bulu, because that's, in conditioning, it's pretty much the whole team.
Okay, and how do you...
everything aside from Amoonguss.
How do you protect your Bulu, though? There's an Amoonguss, there's an Incineroar, there's a Gardevoir, even.
Yeah.
The Amoonguss is the most threatening part, because at any point you could just trade your Bulu for nothing. You would hammer into a Protect Amoonguss, Sludge Bombs, or Clear Smogs, or whatever.
We still haven't seen which attack Amoonguss has. Clear Smog's not going to one-shot Bulu.
Does it not? It doesn't one-shot... Oh, okay.
So, Gengar Togekiss, an entirely different strategy.
Well, so I like the, he needs to change it up. I like that Sanvi went with the same lead. I think that's correct.
Yeah, and it's good coverage, and you can switch on it separate.
So the most obvious play from Jamie here is, Protect Tailwind, in my opinion.
Okay.
What?
Instead... What?
Wait.
Yup. So, the thought there from Sandy was that
I thought
Earth Power was a risk because of Follow Me.
I did not think that he was special Landorus.
He revealed it.
When?
Like first game. Yeah.
Did he?
He Earth Power.
Oh, I must have just.
I
oh yeah,
he
did.
Said it, but I
he
guess
did.
He
No. I remember him revealing Earth Power. Just like.
That's based on Edge and approximately.
Oh yes, okay. Because then he kept Stone Edging, and I was confused. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
It makes Togekiss a lot better.
Yes.
When Lando is special.
Yes. And now the Landorus is locked into Sludge Bomb, so now you can just Tailwind with or Air Slash.
Double target. Yeah, he's not fearing Sludge Bomb at all since it doesn't really matter. He's trying to get rid of Amoonguss since we already noted that's the biggest threat to Void's team.
To the Bulu. Yeah, and now you just.
Totally incentivizing it.
And if you double the Amoonguss will get knocked out, as long as there's no crits and there are no poisons.
My gosh.
Ooh, okay, yes. There we go. There's the Disable Encore that I was talking about.
Yeah, so now Sandy can't attack.
Well, the struggle might knock out Togekiss. And Jamie needs to be aware of that. So here, you can't hit the Amoonguss because it's going to succeed at protecting on turn 4. So your only play is to switch out Togekiss and attack the Landorus. Or you could attack into the Amoonguss.
Yeah, I think this one might actually be over. There's no switch out. And you're disabled and Encore. This is a free Clinger Soul Blaze.
Clang.
Clang. Super surprising. I mean, I very rarely took this running Encore.
I've seen it once or twice, but I did not expect it in this moment.
Yep.
Oh, my... Okay, my internet's going wonky. I hope the stream is still happy enough with how we're doing. We got 63 viewers. It's nice. Thanks all for coming out, watching this tournament. But yeah, so here, Sludge Bomb into the Amoonguss and Clang should just be optimal. No, you can't. You have to Shadow Ball the Amoonguss.
Sludge Bomb was fine.
I want to do as little damage to the Amoonguss as possible. I might have even protected Gengar.
I guess, but since you don't still have Encore in once Amoonguss is back to normal.
The reason being, it's fine because you can Flamethrower it first with your Kommo-o and then hit into the other slot with your Gardevoir.
That's true. Como has ways to get rid of it.
The thing is,
well,
so here's the thing, right? The reason you don't want your to attack the Amoonguss is if you crit, like that. If you crit, your Z move might just not go off. And if you don't hit into anything, it would fail.
Well, I mean...
And so I don't want my Z move to fail because I accidentally crit their Amoonguss. So maybe you go for Disable on the Amoonguss. To disable the Protect. And then Z move.
That was a dumb ending. I feel bad for Sandy because it's really hard to say, okay, he's leading Togekiss Gengar. That Togekiss has Encore.
And then I can't... Yeah. That was just kind of rough. I'm going to go find and see if there are any games that are going on.
Okay.
That was just kind of... it felt like Jamie Boy best of 3 cheesed him.
Yeah. Yeah, he was like, I want to play 2 normal fair, then not play the last game. I mean, it happens.
Let's see, who do we want to watch? David Ness versus Shota, I believe it was. So it's... What was Shota's name? It was SP Noob, yes. He is so good. Shota is one of the best players I've ever seen. In top 16 of the Sao Paulo challenge, of the last challenge, the Oceania challenge. This man has never seen this Porygon 2 go for Ally Switch. And then he Gigavolts a Landorus. Knocks out the P2.
Isn't even a common move on P2.
he gigavolts the Landorus, knocks out the P2, the ally switch, hits the P2, Landorus earthquakes it to knock it out, and then he cleans up the game with Metagross Scarf Tar. And if he didn't hit it, he would lose instantly. The series was over.
I mean, how do you even guess that?
And then he just like predicted every ally switch in like the top 8 set as well, or the top 16 set. It was really great. Yeah, no, he is one of my favorite players. In the first challenge he played in, which was the London challenge, I think, he used Pheromosa, Buzzwole, Incineroar, Muck. No, he might not have had Muck. Pheromosa, Buzzwole, Slowking, Gastrodon, Incineroar, and something else.
What?
And he got top 4. The Incineroar...
How do you not just lose to any Pokemon clicking Dazzling Gleam?
The Incineroar was Firium, and the Slowking was Focus Sash.
Oh, of course. Those are the standard sets.
And the Pheromosa was Poisinium.
Ah, yes. I love that set.
Where's... Yeah, okay, so we're trying to find some games. Apparently Raider is playing Yoshi.
Okay. Yoshi.
But I can't find Yoshi.
I can find Yoshi.
Which Yoshi is it?
It's Yoshi 1337.
Oh. Shota won! Yes! I love Shota. We're gonna see him one of these rounds, man. I promise you. 13 Yoshi 37? Is he...
No, Yoshi 1337.
Oh.
He's at the bottom.
That's not his regular name, though. That's interesting.
I know. That must be the one he's using.
I wish someone would just, let us into their games. Let's see, who else is still playing? Oh yes, David Ness, right.
No, David Ness, you said Shota won?
Was Shota playing David Ness?
Yes.
Oh, Shota was playing David. Dude, Shota, I promise you, man. This man is a legend. He's...
Is Valorant playing?
Colin?
No, he's not. He's just a voice. Okay.
He was probably a voice from a previous,
Yeah.
Because this room has been open for a while. Kinugawa... Is Tansley still playing? Who's he playing? Star KO. He's playing we could ask him.
Okay. I'm happy to watch it.
It's hard because everyone hides their rooms.
Yes.
Makes it quite frustrating.
It's like what I do when I'm home. Hide my room.
We can also just play some Randbats if the viewers want to watch me destroy you.
Bring it on! Wait, do you want to play against Rhyperior?
He said, not really. What does that mean? My guess is that his game is functionally over.
Yeah. Do you feel like playing against Rhyperior?
I don't know.
Do you feel like playing against Sage and Sand?
Definitely not. I'm just trying to find a set, man.
I know.
It is hard to find these games. This fight. Okay, we have 15 minutes more, so we need to find All the games are yet to be reported, from what I can tell. Or at least we'll reload. We'll see what's going on. So why does your computer crash every time you open Twitch?
My graphics card is a little messed up.
That is a shame.
Handle any sort of heat.
Have you considered getting a new computer?
I have considered updating my graphics card.
Okay.
The Bitcoin mining fad kind of messes with prices a little bit.
Yes.
And new graphics cards are expensive anyway. As are new computers. I have not the funds to afford a new computer.
That's fair. Oh, yeah, okay, so some of the games are updated. Eloy versus Jana. Okay, so the one we want is we want Raider versus Yoshi. That's, like, ideal. But, they're not responding.
Understood. But Eloy still plays.
Apparently.
What's his last name? Or what's his username?
I don't know. Dragaran, right? He should be a...
Oh, yeah.
That's what But he's not on as Dragaran. But he's playing Jana. So we know who Jana is. So we just go to Jana.
Oh, it's just Eloy. Heart.
I mean, I assume it's Eloy. I assume that's Eloy Han, because...
I hope so.
I think I met him once.
Yeah. Maybe I'll meet him in Germany this summer.
Oh, are you going to Germany?
Yeah, I have an internship in Deutschland.
Okay, Jana. We're gonna watch Jana versus Eloy, who I assume is Dragaran 5.
Yeah, the old Eloy that I played. I think I played him in 2012. Beat me.
Oh,
He was one of the people who beat
was he
me.
a senior?
Yeah, he was a senior.
Oh man. Okay, so is this? I don't know what game this is. Okay, this is game 3.
Okay, I haven't been invited yet.
It looks like there's a Charizard that is running through the team.
That is running through the team.
Yes, there's a
Oh,
Charizard.
wonderful.
It is set up. There's also a Venusaur.
There is a Venusaur, and it's helping Charizard out right now. Rock Tomb.
Yes. Okay, that's actually not bad. I didn't see the read necessarily coming. Is that a Scarf Rock Tomb Landorus?
I mean, I wouldn't know. It's been going after the other Landorus repeatedly, so I would assume not. But it is using Rock Tomb a lot.
It has used Rock Tomb 3 times. And so here, so Dragaran obviously has a Scarf Landorus. I think that's quite clear, right? That just feels very Scarf. So here, Ice Punch Rock Tomb into the Landorus slot should be quite safe. Depending upon the Venusaur moveset. The Ice Punch is into the Venusaur, but the Rock Tomb is into the Landorus slot.
I don't see a reason why you don't just go ahead and Ice Punch the Venusaur there, just tries to attack. You don't want your Landorus getting put to sleep since the main answer to Charizard. It seems risky to bring Charizard in there directly for Lando.
Yes. So my thought was you Ice Punch the Landorus to KO the Landorus, and then you Rock Tomb the Landorus to KO the Charizard switch-in. But I agree that Ice Punching the Venusaur is also pretty smart.
Yeah.
I just didn't want my Metagross to get, like, Earthquaked, and then, so, like, in that turn, if Eloy had gone for Earthquake Protect with Venusaur, and Rock Tomb had gone into the Landorus slot and Ice Punch into the Venusaur slot, then Metagross would be at, like, 5%, and...
Right, but it guarantees a KO on Venusaur the next turn. Even if Metagross faints, you've got a severely minus speed Landorus that can't touch the other Landorus, and Venusaur is knocked out, so there's no way for Eloy to beat the Lando.
That's smart. There's no way for Eloy to beat the combination.
Yeah, the Venusaur is actually like a huge crux right now. It's very important for Johnny to get past it. But since Charizard is knocked out, it's not as big of a deal.
Yeah. Okay.
Going straight ahead, Giga Draining. Is there an Earthquake here or a knockoff? Okay. So now Giga Drain will KO on the next usage. gets rid of the scarf.
So now there has to be a sleep powder into the Metagross, I think.
I would guess, yeah, because Metagross is ice punching Lando here.
Yes, 100%. Not necessarily. So I think Metagross could switch into Incineroar here quite safely.
Yes, that's possible. It's also not a bad play to go ahead and get drain the Landorus if you're thinking that that's going to switch.
Well, so if Metagross switches into Incineroar, because the Landorus on Dragoran-sized Scarf, it can't KO it.
There goes Sleep Powder.
And yeah, there had to be a Sleep Powder there. The Sleep Powder missed, but even if it if it hadn't missed, then that would have actually been quite bad for Jana. Actually, I lie.
Yeah, Jana goes for a Fake Out on Venusaur here to stall out turns. Does whatever he wants to with his Lando.
Yep.
And the opposing Landorus is severely crippled.
Yeah, the biggest problem here for Eloy was that he had to hit like 2 sleep powders and get 2 turn sleeps with both of them, which is not particularly likely. That's 2/3 times 2/3, which is 4 out of 9 times 3/4 times 3/4, which is 9 out of 16. So that was like a 1/4 chance that he could get the result that he wanted. I'm not sure I liked that. I'm not sure I liked that U-turn.
Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of it either. I think in that situation, you just kind of let Landorus die.
Yeah, you don't want your Landorus to get knocked off on the switch-in, like just happened.
Or Metagross to take that extra damage. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want Metagross to take that.
Metagross here, and you're fine.
I think you protect Metagross and you switch out Incineroar, just to reset your Fake Out.
Get another Intimidate.
Yep. Get 2 more Intimidates.
And I guess what's nice about that is that you're free about Venusaur a few times, and the opposing Landorus -3, because you won't Fate from knockoff.
And also you just end Sun.
Yep.
But if Jana, decides to go for the Protect on Incineroar, okay, that's fine.
Having Protect on Incineroar is usually helpful in situations like this.
I don't like it overall, though.
Okay. Z-Poison Venusaur is interesting.
Is it?
I mean, definitely not necessary, and probably not even good against this particular team, since Tapu Fini is the only option to hit it with.
Well, so, why wouldn't you just run Z-Grass?
I feel like you can most of the same things with Z-Grass, yeah.
And you can run, Leaf Storm. But then you're running Leaf Storm as one of your attacks.
Yeah. Well, regardless, Ice Punch is going to KO Venusaur here.
Yep. So the key section of this game was when Dragoran let Charizard get doubled. Let Charizard get Rock Tombed on the switch-in.
Yeah. It felt unnecessary to switch in Charizard. It was such an important Pokemon. Although maybe it was.
No, it was probably unnecessary.
Maybe the thing to do was not switch out Lando for it, but it's a hard situation because Metagross is still so threatening once Sun runs out, and even resetting Sun, you can do with these, and Lando's just going to get intimidated repeatedly.
Yeah. So we're gonna take a couple minutes break, guys. But we'll be back soon for round 2, in the sense of I'm just gonna go for a walk and leave the call with Toller. Be right back, guys. Hey, Toller. Toller.
Or at least trying to.
Yo, Toller, we're back. Toller, can you hear me? Toller. 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 We're back.
I'm back.
So are we.
I just didn't have my headphones in.
Who do you want to watch? Spurific versus Yoshi?
That's a cool match.
I don't think there's anything else I want to watch. Do you have the you have the Battlefly, right?
I have the Battlefly, yes.
I think that's just the best game.
I would agree, just without even looking at the other ones.
It's just that, like, I wouldn't necessarily want to put either of those players on round 2 if I could avoid it.
Yeah.
Gramgas versus Face is not
Vice.
bad.
That's also an interesting match. I kind of want to watch Gramgas. I haven't seen him play much.
Okay. Would you, so I can't see the Twitch chat.
Okay.
So I'm gonna check on my phone. But you know, tell us if you want Faiz versus Gramgas or Yoshi versus Spurific. Actually, let's just watch Marcus. I want to watch Marcus versus Spurific. I just want to watch that. It just sounds really good.
Yeah, it just sounds like an entertaining game.
Where is Spurific? So Angel and Chuppa are going to come over to my house soon. So you guys might be able to get some radically different set of commentators.
It will be a different situation entirely.
Yeah, no. So I'm thinking of you know, having Angel commentate with like. Okay. Cool. So we're gonna get invited to Spurific's game when it starts.
Sounds good.
And
I am eating a clementine.
That is a good idea. I think clementines are really delicious.
One moment. I gotta answer a call.
How's everything going, Twitch chat? You guys having a good time? How do I... Someone PM me on Showdown and tell me how to, like, pop out a tab so I can actually read Twitch chat. Because I just cannot see... the chat. Got a good, healthy 96 viewers. It's not bad. It's not bad.
I hope they're all healthy. You know, eating good food, sleeping well.
Maybe in the meantime we'll get Gramgus' game, because that's a pretty good game too.
Yep. That would work. That clementine was really good too.
Was it? I'm glad. I had some blackberries. I had some blackberries during the break.
That's good. Yeah, that might have actually been like the sweetest clementine I've ever eaten.
Shit, man.
Since someone put sugar into it.
Maybe someone did put sugar into it.
Oh man, that'd be bad. Looks like it's just a literal cake.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go.
We got games.
Morantis!
Lurantis! Yes!
Everyone is playing the same Gardevoir team.
Yup. I still hate Gardevoir, by the way. I think Gardevoir
I understand.
sucks. Oh,
it's a different Pokemon than it was.
Is it?
No. Not at all. Does it still use Hyper Voice? Yes. Yes, it does.
So my... Like, I don't know if Gardevoir is good or bad.
Yeah. In this matchup in particular,
no.
I'd say it's probably good.
No, just not in the matchup. I just mean in general. I don't know if Gardevoir is, like, good or bad.
That's yet to be seen. I feel like it's sort of a Pokemon that's obviously good at us, so we kind of have to see how it does in tournament and see how successful it ends up being.
No, what I was saying, what I was going to go for is, I just don't enjoy the way Gardevoir plays. Like, even if Gardevoir is really good, I could never get behind what it was doing. I could never really understand it. I know you were a bit better at understanding it.
In one instance.
At least once.
I understood it the same way that I understood 2012 Hydreigon, which is roughly along the lines of, like, it's a really strong special attacker that cleans up a lot of the metagame, or at least it was in 2015, and benefits from being supported a little bit.
Benefits from a lot from being supported. I feel like Gardevoir...
Gardevoir is more frail than Hydreigon was in 2012. Yeah.
Sure. And it looks good in this matchup as well. Gardevoir Mungus does run through a lot of Marcus's stuff. Especially if you don't give Lurantis the boosts.
Lurantis is sort of scary here, because if you want to bring in Incineroar Fake Out, which you kind of do, I mean, even against the opposing Fake Out, you're risking just enabling Lurantis to beat you.
Remember when Lurantis wasn't a Pokemon?
You mean, like, a month ago?
Yeah, like 2 weeks ago.
Like,
good times.
Like, for sure. But...
Good times, dude.
Actually, this team is really similar. Yoshi's team is similar.
It is the team. It is the team.
Brian Yu's team. Okay.
It is the 6.
Okay.
So if I recall correctly, the Cresselia is Psychium Z, which is why it's Cresselia as opposed to P2. The Snorlax is Belly, and then there are a bunch of, like, different sets, and that's a
green Lurantis.
Lurantis.
That's the grass-colored Lurantis.
It's disgusting.
I'm really not a fan.
It's super gross.
Tricks and shiny, honestly.
So in this position, I think you want to just protect Gardevoir because it has a Lightning Rod.
That's true.
And because Manectric is probably snarling turn 1, and just go for something like Calm, Simple, Spore on the Manectric, or Sludge Bomb the Lurantis. 2 easy plays that would put you in the driver's seat. The problem with Lurantis in general is you hit it once, and then you activate its berry, and then it has 2 defense boosts by the time you get to hit it again. That's what makes it so scary, the superpower contrary effect. So I think, you want to either take this chance to get the first hit on Lurantis, so that way it's in range for Hyper Voice later, or to Spore the Manectric and get the more general positional advantage, and then go for Hyper Voice on turn 2.
I don't think the defense booster on Lurantis are bad as Gardevoir Live, because the Hyper Voice is hurt so much.
I just meant in general.
Sludge Bomb seems to have been the right play. Okay, it's a perfect win for it. That's actually great for him.
Yeah. And you really don't want the poison there. At least in the short term. At least in the short term. So now Hyper Voice should be just Hyper Voice for Spore. Or even...
Does Snarl take Lurantis out of Hyper Voice range? Or...
Well, I would assume not. So there are a couple things that could go wrong here. So first... Marcus could go for Overheat onto the Amoonguss. That would be a very strong play. Amoonguss doesn't feel too threatened, but Overheat could definitely just chunk it all the way down. And that would be a very good trade for Marcus if he could. That would be a solid trade for Marcus if he could get it off. The second thing that could happen is Marcus could go for Snarl, Hyper Voice misses the KO, and Lurantis Leaf Blades the Gardevoir. The third thing that could happen is Marcus goes for Snarl and switches in something like Feeny, Gardevoir Hyper Voices, and Amoonguss Spores.
I don't think I care. Regardless of what Yoshi does, I don't think... If Yoshi goes for Snarl, I don't care what he does, because Gardevoir is going to get a lot of chances to Hyper Voice, and Lurantis can't hit either of these Pokemon very hard.
So do you Spore, or do you, or do you Sludge Bomb?
I think I Spore, personally. Oh, Leaf Blade
Ooh.
crits.
Lurantis.
And that's a Sludge Bomb and not a Spore. I guess Fear and Fiending coming in?
Yeah.
Still, that's no good.
That is no bueno. So Leaf Blade crit is unfortunate, but, not entirely unlikely. Leaf Blade does have that high critical hit rate.
It looks like Gardevoir is probably still out of the range of Snap.
I really underestimated that damage from Lurantis, and that overestimated that damage from Gardevoir. Looks like to be looks to be a very bulky, and also like the Pixelate nerf.
Pixelate nerf.
Pixelate
We were
nerf.
all aware of that. We knew that was one of the reasons that Gardevoir maybe wouldn't be as popular this metagame, and that's part of why it's surprising that it's still getting played.
Gardevoir is out of Snarl range, most likely. And so now, the boosts happen. Now Lurantis starts picking up the damage.
Yeah, she's a god.
Oh my god!
So he double covers the Amoonguss. I mean, there's no reason not to make that play, right?
Yeah.
Because, Overheat would KO Amoonguss and Superpower would KO Gardevoir.
Well,
Gardevoir doesn't protect.
I mean,
but you also cover the Incineroar switch.
unless, Amoonguss protects or switches and Gardevoir attacks, but Gardevoir really doesn't want to attack there.
Yeah.
It's really uncomfortable for it to do so. So, there are reasons not to make that play, but Marcus ignores them and makes the smart play, which is, I know what's happening. It doesn't matter that there are things that could go wrong. I know what's going to happen.
I am psychic. Yeah.
So here, Volt Switch into Gardevoir and Leaf Blade the Coco is just free, right?
Yeah. It is very free. And it's perfect playing defensively. I mean, as I know I'm to play, just going ahead and bringing in Amoonguss.
But also he had to. He had no other choice. That was just required.
And Amoonguss isn't threatened here by Manectric at all, but Incineroar very much threatens it. Yeah, this isn't looking like curtains. I feel like it's a very easy throw blitz into Leaf Blade. As long as Incineroar outspeeds Lurantis, you're good.
You could also just go for the quite safe fake-out Leaf Blade.
I don't know if it's as safe, because you're risking Gardevoir attacking the next turn if Amoonguss doesn't protect. If Amoonguss protects, it doesn't matter. You're just getting rid of Coco. But you kind of want to be careful about your positioning here.
Okay. So why would fake-out Leaf Blade go... How could fake-out Leaf Blade go wrong?
Oh, wait. Incineroar's immune to Spores, but Sludge Bomb is bad for you, if that happens.
Electric Terrain.
Yeah. Electric Terrain negates the possibility of Spore.
Yep.
But Sludge Bomb is, I guess, the big one.
That Sludge Bomb doesn't matter, though.
I mean, what was Coco going to do to you?
Dazzling Gleam crit.
Okay, Dazzling Gleam crit. I feel like regardless, there's not a way that Yoshi's going to lose this game.
So the only way it happens is with a bunch of crits, but Snarl here should put Gardevoir at, having a very low chance of doing the damage it needs to. Doesn't get the crit. Incineroar's going to Flare Blitz, going to knock out that Amoonguss. Real free. The Flare Blitz was probably targeted into the Gardevoir slot in case the Amoonguss went for a Protect. And gets to reveal that berry. Smart move from Sporific.
And there was no Spore Fear either because of Electric Terrain, so it's like Amoonguss was neutered by the terrain that Justin brought in. Yeah.
I mean, Marcus could have brought in his own terrain if he needed to. So, funnily enough, this was built... Do you know who Ansenna is?
No, I don't.
So she's kind of just like a random who has voice and, participates a lot on Showdown and runs a blog, and she was like, I think Lurantis is good, guys! And she built this Lurantis team and convinced everyone to use it. It went 8-0 at Regionals.
Well, Lurantis is good, guys.
Yeah, it turns out Lurantis is really good. Who knew? Not I. I did not know.
It looks like Feist won Game 1 against Grangus.
That was Game 2.
Oh, Game 2. Okay, Feist won Game 2 against Grangus. So is that set over now?
I don't know.
Okay.
Marcus just invited me to Game 2.
Okay. I'm waiting patiently.
So, how do you adjust if you're Justin?
It's hard, right? Because Lurantis is easy to KO. Incineroar is your most effective answer to grass types, and it's just boosting Lurantis.
I literally never thought there would be a day when I would say, Lurantis is the scariest part of this matchup.
I mean, it wouldn't be, except most teams only carry fire types in the form of Incineroar, which just makes Lurantis stronger. I mean, I just said that, but...
Yeah. No,
it's
for
sort
sure.
of assisted here because Laurentis is buoyed by Incineroar and Manectric holding Intimidate to make sure that Laurentis can still take the even before it's plus one.
And the Snarl as well.
And the Snarl, yeah. So it really gets rid of, or doesn't get rid of, but helps to negate some of the effects of its lower base stat total.
And
effectively, it's Cecil so bad.
Justin gets Lightning Rod again. You know,
Nice.
if you one of the reasons Trace also sucks is if your opponent leads Incineroar or Lurantis, you can intimidate their Lurantis.
Yes.
And if you lead
I'm
like,
kind of surprised if she hasn't tried that.
I really think that the Trace is a bad ability. I've thought this for a while, but like, there's too many things that could go wrong when you Trace.
Now, yeah, especially since a lot of Pokemon are playing Pokemon, or a lot of players are using Pokemon competitive or contrary.
Well, no, so I'm actually not too worried about the lead Gardevoir into Intimidate competitive, because if it's like Incineroar Milotic, then you just copy you could just copy the competitive and get the boost because you're faster.
Contrary is more problematic.
Contrary is problematic.
Boost.
I feel like my stream is having occasional massive decreases in quality. I'm not sure why. And I still can't check the chat, but okay, so this position. Kind
it's
of
hard to
awkward.
just snarl Flare Blitz. Right, just comes in.
Yeah, I think you have to switch in Lurantis Flare Blitz. U-turn? What?
U-turn?
I
What are you
don't-
going to here?
I don't like that play.
I don't love it either. I hope Sludge Bomb isn't going into Lurantis.
I mean, if
That would
Sludge Bomb goes into Lurantis, that's an appropriate punish for a really bad play.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not really bad
It
if
was
you're
pretty-
fearing TR.
No, I think his play was he was scared of Gardevoir protecting and Amoonguss sporing.
I mean, in that situation, you still just snarl Flip.
Does Snarl Flare Blitz KO?
At least Volt Switch Flare Blitz would do the trick. I mean, it depends on how much attack he's running. I think that sort of play demonstrates that he's probably run 140 range on attack EVs, because if you run max attack, yeah, Flare Blitz is like 90 to 100%.
But now, yeah, so what Justin apparently needed to do is have Marcus let him Hyper Voice twice, turn 1 and 2. And so
this is part of why Gardevoir is good, though, is
Yes.
because between those Hyper Voices, it's doing 80% or 90% to the total HP on Yoshi's team.
the way I think about Gardevoir is as Kyogre.
Mhm.
It's just like, I just put the Gardevoir there, and, you know, maybe it gets in a good position, and then it clicks Hyper Voice, and it does a bunch of damage to everything. And
I think
it doesn't...
specifically that's 2010 Kyogre most.
Yeah, I was thinking of it kind of like 2016 Kyogre, but the general idea is like, you just put the Gardevoir there, and then it clicks Hyper Voice, and everything just gets chunked. And Marcus doesn't have any steals. He doesn't have any fairy resists. He has nothing to take this,
Hydro Vortex doesn't quite do the trick at +1.
Oh.
And Trick Room going off instead of Hyper Voice. Oh, Snorlax.
Okay, yeah,
There we go.
that should be game?
Yeah? Yeah?
Is that game?
I mean, Gardevoir is too fast.
Gardevoir is
Snorlax
very
should
fast.
clean up.
And you just return the Feeny here, and Manectric can intimidate you, and you should be able to just knock out. And I'm checking a thing.
Yeah, you belly drum right away to dodge knock.
I'm not sure I would have belly drummed. I feel like it would be quite risky, because there's the potential for the somewhat safe Flare Blitz Moonblast into Snorlax. There's the Flare Blitz, but that did nothing.
But we get the accuracy drop. So that makes Snorlax a less consistent with the game. Yup.
Oh no!
That's really... Oh, that's so awkward.
Oh, but the Flare Blitz missed the... Oh.
Oh.
Oh. That just feels
That
bad.
feels bad.
It feels so...
But
that's...
shouldn't be alive.
But that's the problem, right? Like, if you play passively and go for the belly drum there, as opposed to the quite safe, you know, just return, then you are rolling dice against yourself.
That's true. And you do want to get rid of Feeney as quickly as possible, and getting rid of Incineroar is getting rid of Fake Up the game. You don't need Belladrum there to win.
Yeah.
There's nothing bulky on Yoshi's team for this set of 4.
Yeah. And, sure, Lurantis, Lurantis might not get knocked out by your return, but you can just Flare Blitz that. You can just get it out of Trick Room, Flare Blitz it. I feel like
the nice thing about having Incineroar in is that you aren't going to have to switch in and intimidate the opponents.
Yeah. And so my theory is just like, if you make moves like that and you lose, sure, it was unlucky, but to an extent you deserve to lose for not trying to minimize... Or, you didn't deserve to win, because you didn't try and minimize the way in which the game could go wrong, and you got greedy, and tried to, you tried to have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
And so,
in a situation where Snorlax wins the game without having to set up, it ultimately doesn't make sense to set up, even if you shouldn't theoretically lose.
Yeah. And so, a lot of players would look at this game and say, I got so unlucky, act drop into miss. And it was unlucky. No one could deny that, Justin was odds on to win the game. But if you play passively, you start, your opponent's able to get secondary effects against you. That's the point of secondary effects, to give you, more odds to get lucky against your opponent. And
I would still argue that Muddy Water and Rock Slide are two of the most dumb moves in Pokemon.
Muddy Water and Rock Slide are very dumb. Will not deny it. But that's not to say that, you have to play through them, right? We play Pokemon. I'm not playing chess. If you play Pokemon, you have to account for luck. That's your job as a player. And, I think Justin didn't account for it as much as he might have needed to. Now, it's possible that he needed Belly Drum to prevent himself from getting knocked off.
Yeah. I think...
And
because...
that might be more true.
I think his thought process might have been, if I return Feeney, then I might lose my berry.
Yeah.
Then I should return Incineroar. Well, if I'm going to return Incineroar, then why not just Belly Drum to dodge the... But Flare Blitz still happened. Muddy Water still happened. It wasn't in Yoshi's mind to make... I think it's also interesting that Yoshi showed knockoff, because he thought, how do I win this game? Maybe Justin up and goes for Belly Drum.
Yeah, and so I think knockoff actually might have been better than Flare Blitz there. Marcus was trying to optimize his damage to get through the potential Belly Drum, but I think that Marcus had an out if Justin went for return, which was you get your boost with Lurantis, and then you kind of switch out into you get Lurantis in, you protect Lurantis, you switch out, you get an Intimidate off on the Incineroar, and you get to +1 with your Lurantis. You tank,
cycle Intimidates,
you tank the Flare Blitz, get your berry off, and then Manectric cleans up the Gardevoir in the late game. So I think, but in that scenario, I think Snorlax having its berry doesn't matter either. So Flare Blitz was probably correct.
I think the ability to recycle that was running through.
Yeah, so he's like, I need my Snorlax to beat the Manectric, right? He wanted Snorlax to beat Manectric because Gardevoir couldn't anymore. So that meant he needed to be able. That meant in his mind he needed to be able to recycle. But I think that it was a bit greedy to do that, and he could have gone for a more straightforward line of play that would have minimized the risk.
I think the key here is that Tapu Fini was the only Pokemon of really hitting Justin Incineroar outside of Lurantis. Lurantis couldn't outspeed it out of TR. So he got extra incentive to KO Fini there because Fini was...
And he switched in Incineroar, didn't he? Right?
Incineroar was in already, so it wasn't going to...
No. So on turn 4, Justin switched in his Incineroar. And then...
Into the Muddy Water.
Belly Drummed and Muddy Water happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. So it's if you return the Fini there in Incineroar, then 1, you can't intimidate Lurantis anymore because your Incineroar's already in, so great play. 2, you got rid of Fini.
Yeah, and your Incineroar doesn't take 70%. Your Incineroar can probably KO the Manectric, even at -1, because it has the berry, and all Manectric has is Volt Switch. So let's see, what we can do for Game 2. We're going to look at the games we still have left. If you see anything you particularly want to watch, just ping me.
Ashton is playing. There's nothing that jumps out. Yeah. Nothing in particular that's really to my attention.
Is there anything still going? If you refresh it, you can see which games have been reported.
You just got Ashton versus Ethan French 17. I don't know who that is. You got Xenoblade Hero versus Paku Taco.
Who's Kenny J?
I have no clue. I don't know who B. Smithy is either.
That's Brady Smith.
Okay. That
He
makes sense.
won a regional or something.
I know him.
He's pretty good.
Oh, his game is open.
Let us...
If you go to B. Smithy and click on the battle.
Oh.
I don't know which game it is.
Does it not say at the top?
Oh, he just hit the room. I'm going to ask him if it's stream. And if he doesn't
We have to. Yeah, he has to let us. So as streamers, we are allowed to we're allowed to watch any game we want.
Okay. Yeah, he's okay with us streaming it.
Cool.
I know it doesn't matter, but...
Yep.
Do I need
Game
to invite
3.
you?
Okay.
Game 3.
So
Yeah.
that's an
Electro
Assault Vest
Web?
Coco.
Yeah! It looks like Electro Web Rico.
Yep. That is the traditional Coco on this squad. This team got 4 of the top 8 slots at the Prague special event. Not all the same sets. Yeah, so it's not all the same sets. I've seen Electrium Coco, Assault Vest Bulu. I've seen Assault Vest Coco, Z Bulu. I've seen Z Araquanid. I've seen Berry Araquanid. I think the winning team had Sticky Webs.
Sticky Web Araquanid?
Yes.
That's crazy.
I'm really hyped for that. I think it's really sick. I always wanted entry hazards to be good in VGC.
Sticky Web Araquanid. That's the best entry hazard.
So interestingly, Brady Volt switched the Metagross there. Not scared of Metagross protecting, which was quite safe, and when he instead could have gone for just volting the Tyranitar.
Yeah, and you really want Araquanid in there if you're going for TR.
You don't exactly want Araquanid in if you're going for TR, because this TR should end the game. And I think that even if Araquanid doesn't get in, you'll be able to get it in to hit at least once. So I think that, you don't need Araquanid to come in on turn 6, right? Like, it'll get... even if it comes in, 2 turns into Trick Room, it'll get to hit at least once. And that's all you really need to clean up this game, in my opinion.
It does sort of depend on what item Araquanid has, though. It's better... It's better in the late game if you have to switch it in with only a few turns of left because you can go ahead and smash that damage and pop a Lele.
Z-move, right?
Enough.
If you're Z-move?
If you're Z-move, yeah. If you're thinking you want it in sooner, but maybe that's why he Volt Switch mana. He's just Z Araquanid and can blow things up. It doesn't matter if you actually get the switch.
Yeah, it looks like it's Z Araquanid as well. I expect Z on this team. I think it's a better set.
Mm-hmm.
And so interestingly enough, Sticky Web is an egg move.
So we know that the Totem Araquanid
does not have Sticky Web, yeah. So that's one of the interesting questions for me about how to run Araquanid in 2018. I'm unsure whether it's more optimal to run Totem Araquanid because you can't get Sky Dropped, or non-Totem Araquanid to reduce low kick damage and to threaten Sticky Webs.
Sticky Web or Stockpile. I mean, I know Stockpile is not super relevant, but most of its items aren't super relevant.
It is Z-move Araquanid.
Yep.
And it Z-moved the Lele.
It did exactly what we hoped it would.
Yeah, so that's the game.
Yep, there we are.
There we go.
It was very quick.
Yes, that happened.
It's sort of interesting how you can draw information about its items based on how the player plays it.
Yeah, that is a very useful skill. If you can figure out what your opponent's items are by what they're doing, then you don't need to wait for them to reveal them.
Yep.
And because if they reveal that, because if you're like, oh, maybe it could be this, maybe it could be that, and then they reveal them, you're like, oh yes, now I've lost. That's not ideal.
Over.
Yeah, it's not ideal. But if you can, guess what they are before your opponent gets to reveal them, you have, the advantage that they think you don't know what their item is, but you do because you've realized.
As a player, I never think my opponent doesn't know anything about my team, which is probably a bad habit. I should probably be using hidden information more efficiently.
It's hard, right? Because you're like, oh, because sometimes I'm in a position, I'm like, oh, they'll, predict this thing about my team because, they know this. But it's like, no, they can't tell what your hidden information is. It's hidden.
Literally no idea.
They have no idea. Reveal it.
Yep.
And that's one of the problems, because if you don't reveal your information the way it's supposed to, you can become at a disadvantage to what you should be, because your opponent looks like a god, but they just don't know that you have some information. Let me see when the next round starts.
Yeah, I think I'll be peacing out, making room for Chuppa and Angel.
Chuppa's getting here at 6, and Angel is showing up in a bit.
I just need this
eventually. I want to check what's going on in SPL.
Okay, fair.
Because, I don't know. Oh, yes, there's a UU game. Started 20 minutes ago. I'm a big fan of the Wi-Fi Wolfpacks. Wolfpack.
No, I'm a big fan of the Alpha Root, personally.
Are you a fan of the Ruiners?
I'm a huge fan of the Ruiners.
Why? Were you a Ruiner?
I was a Ruiner.
You were a Ruiner.
I was a Ruiner.
So the Wolfpack almost drafted me this year, but then drafted Marilli instead.
I'm sorry.
Oh, Poke TCG Gamer 1288 won. Yes.
What the heck?
Remember when Conan first joined NPA?
No.
So it was in 2014, and he was a cruiser.
Okay.
And his name was Poke Mario 0411. And,
what a great name!
I know.
That says a lot about skill level.
Yeah, and so, when someone's named, Poke Mario 0411, you assume they're, garbage. You're like, who is this Poke Mario guy? Why do they have numbers in their name? And turned out it was Conan. But that's, it seems to be the same situation. Apparently in the Wolfpacks they call him Rob. Instead of Poke TCG Gamer 1288. So yeah, the Wolfpacks are up 3-2? 4-1, 4-1, 4-2, or 3-2? Something like that.
Where are they playing?
Who was the last match?
Brady?
The Raiders are playing the Wolfpack.
Okay. The Raiders. Got it.
Last match. Matty Moo. Fight.
Matty Moo versus A4 Sinnoh.
Versus Sinnoh Legend.
Dude,
do you remember Legend X?
No.
He was this dude in 2015 or something that filled out his 5 PC BFL in the first week or two, the first month, and he had 200 CP before anyone had any other CP. And then he got 50 CP for the rest of the season.
Oh, that's not worse. Will we see an Naganadel?
There is a Naganadel. Naganadel sucks.
Naganadel.
So what's going on in this game? What's the position? So it looks like Matty Moo has position by having all of his Pokemon have HP, and Sinnoh Legend seems to have lost most of the HP on his Landorus, which is generally suboptimal. Makes a good switch. Gets the Incineroar in on the Amoonguss slot. Takes the Flare Blitz. Gardevoir comes in, takes a Scald. So Gardevoir is not in a great spot here.
I wouldn't say so. Although it's a nice Hyper Voice, and he has Fake Out available, which is good.
Gardevoir is in a less great spot than it would like because it's taken more damage than it would want to. So here, Flare Blitz into Gardevoir is reasonably safe.
And doesn't KO, apparently.
Doesn't KO. That's...
That's
okay.
bad.
That's not what I expected to happen.
Yeah, the Intimidated ended up doing a little more.
A tiny bit more than he wanted it, than Matty Moo wanted it to.
Yeah, Metagross switching was ill-fated by consequence.
Yeah, I feel like Porygon 2 switching might have been a bit safer.
Although, really, the knockoff kind of covered both.
P2 is kind of useless for the rest of this game because it doesn't do too much to Incineroar, and so I'd rather have my Metagross around than my P2. And so even if the P2 switch-in is covered, I don't care because I don't really care about P2.
Well, Sinnoh Legend didn't really care about his Landorus either. Burned at 18%.
Yep.
So a good way to switch that and prevent Feeny from being as much of a problem later. And it covered the Incineroar Protect unintentionally.
And so here, Sinnoh Legend might go for something like Protect with Gardevoir, Flare Blitz the Feeny. This is why you often want Muddy Water. Just a tiny bit of extra spread damage can be really nice.
I mean, he's still fine going for Hyper Voice. Depending on what his last one is.
So my thought is that in this position, Matty Moo has to hit into the Gardevoir and switch out Incineroar. Incineroar being at -2 is not enough. And I don't think Hyper Voice KOs Feeny from here, but I think if Sinnoh Legend can get the Flare Blitz off on the Feeny, Hyper Voice might knock it out afterwards. And maybe Hyper Voice Flare Blitz will do enough to P2 to seal him the game.
If Incineroar switches out, I don't think there's a way to KOing Gardevoir. So that's sort of... Okay, Gardevoir protects. Feeny protects. Makes sense.
Incineroar double protects. I don't like Snarl there. I think Snarl's just bad.
Yeah, I think that's wrong.
So Matty Moo did mean to switch, and he read the Gardevoir Protect.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why he's telling everyone that it's a misclick.
Probably just nervous because it's on stream. It's
yeah.
So scary.
Stream is scary, dude. All these
people...
people...
Not even say it's misclick. We could tell. P2 protectors?
Yeah, so Matty Moo got the... Oh, that's a... Yeah,
that's a knocked off P2. That P2 super doesn't have an item.
So what you really want here is to manage to activate... if you're Matty Moo, is you want to activate your own Incineroar's Berry. If he had managed to switch in P2 on turn 14... On turn 13...
Berry? On Incineroar?
I assume Incineroar has Berry.
I would hope so with Protect. Either that or
Z-Moo. Or Furium. Firium.
Either one works. I got donked by Insidium regionals.
Did you? That's sad.
Oh, yeah. It just
and so there's the knockoff. He switched it into the knockoff. That's precisely what he had to avoid. So now...
And see, what's crazy about that is that you had no items.
Well, there was no reason to Flare Blitz P2, because P2 didn't have an Eviolite.
That's true.
And so, the only reason not to Flare Blitz P2 is if Amoonguss... And so, what I think the big problem was that, I think he had to read where the knockoff was going, and he read incorrectly, I guess. And now
I feel like it's easy to assume that Incineroar is going to Flare Blitz the Feeny there.
Did you think Incineroar was Flare Blitzing Feeny there? I was unsure.
Not necessarily, but it's easy to assume so. I would argue. Flare Blitz on Incineroar. I think Amoonguss actually just cleans this up.
It should. Well, Rage Powder Flare Blitz P2, in my opinion.
Seems safe, yeah. Feeny doesn't seem to have Muddy Water.
I think it's just... And presumably Feeny's moveset has been revealed over the course of the 3-game set.
Yep. this was game 1, it would all come down to Feeney not having
Muddy Water, but you don't run.
I
No one
see.
runs Scald Muddy Water. That's not
the
a set.
players probably know how this game ends. Yeah.
And so Rage Powder, Flare Blitz the P2 is very safe. It'll knock out the P2. You don't want to get stuck in a Mungus versus P2, even if you have Spore, because it's just not good for you.
Especially since it's Clear Smog and not Sludge Bomb.
Clear Smog is better.
Clear Smog is better in general, but Sludge Bomb does less damage.
Yes. Clear Smog allows you... Clear Smog is nice, because sometimes the Como Z moves, and then you're like, haha! Clear Smog.
You thought I was Sludge Bomb, but you were wrong!
You were wrong. I guess.
Never invade Russia and win.
What?
Nothing.
Thanks.
Sorry.
Thank you, Toller.
I'm sorry. That's wrong.
Okay, that's an ally switch P2.
That's an ally switch P2 that is not changing anything.
Yeah, there you go. Game. Cool.
Well played.
So, we're just gonna close all this up.
On that note, I am going to exit and wish you all well.
Thank you for being with me, Toller. I enjoyed it.
No problem. Happy to join in.
Peace
I
out.
will now go lay in my bed and...
It's quite tiring. I'm gonna do this
Yes.
for a while.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still recovering from this whole week, so...
For sure. I'm on break.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay.
Peace out, friends. Oh, no. No, it's starting immediately.
Oh, it's starting! Ah!
Go.
What is
No,
it?
go, Toller.
Wait, I need to know the important matches. Shoto's playing Ingrid.
Wait, who's Shota playing?
Ingrid. Like ingredients, Ingrid.
Shota's so good. Shota's so good. Nirinbo...
Rafa's playing Yoshi.
Nirinbo versus Kinugawa. Rigolinho versus Face.
Perfect versus San. I
Who?
don't know who's San, but he's Japanese.
Wait, who versus who?
Sporific versus San.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
Neither do I.
I've been starting to play in these, like, best of 3 Japanese tournaments. They're kind of just, like, weeklies held on Wednesdays. At, 9 in the morning. They kind of take up, like, a large section of the day. But they're really fun. You get, like, good practice on cart against players who are good and care about the game they're playing in.
Mm-hmm. If I had good Wi-Fi, I would try it. But
That's a good
I
point.
don't.
Anyway, Toller,
Anyway,
I will see
I'm
you
gone.
later.
See you.
Who does the chat want? Press, I mean, it doesn't matter because I'm probably going to choose Nirimbo versus Kinugawa because that's definitely the best match, but press 1 for Nirimbo Kinugawa, press 2 for Wiggly Neo versus Face. Press 3 for Jono TV versus Andrew Bodrio. Which one was 2 again? Someone remind me what 2... Oh, Wigglinho versus Face. Right. Cool. Sucks, because I'm streaming Nirinbo versus Kinugawa. Because that one is what interests me a bit more. Let's see, where's Kinugawa? Or Nirinbo? Sorry, guys. Kinugawa is a really strong Japanese player, and if I recall correctly, Nirimbo got top 4 at London 17. He's really good. 2 people voted. I outrank the 2. I'm going to just like overrule the 2 people that voted. I am the streamer. Where is Kinugawa? Ay, ay, ay. Nice. Ooh. Okay, so we got the Circuitry Squad. And so I've actually used this Circuitry team. It's really strong. No, I don't think he was the Ducks dude. He used Scarf Milotic, if I recall correctly. Yeah, he had Muck and Scarf Milotic. So I think Xurkitree is really good in the format right now, because with Incineroar around, there aren't a lot of things that can do too much against it. Yeah, let's do that. And, if you can get, like, Tail Glow off, it can do a lot of damage to a bunch of stuff. Incineroar is a good lead with it, because you got Fake Out, and then you have, like, Fake Out and Intimidate, you can support it, you have Amoonguss to support it, Mence gives you secondary Intimidate and a Flying type, and it can just kind of run through things once it gets to +3. Here, though, I'm not sure it's really too comfortable, and you might want to switch Xurkitree out into Salamence and knock off the Gengar, potentially. I think this is a Mega Gengar. Kinugawa's team is just really cool. It's got the, standard kind of goth Mawile stuff, but he has this Mega Gengar on it. I'm really not sure what it's doing. It is a slow Tapu Bulu. We see from the ability activation that Tapu Bulu is not faster than the Incineroar. So, presumably, maybe even Trick Room Mega Gengar. Davide, not really scared, just doubles the Gengar. I was not expecting that. And neither was Kinugawa. So Xurkitree didn't go for the boost there, just went for, a straightforward Thunderbolt. Maybe it's a Scarf Xurkitree instead of a Berry Xurkitree like I would expect. And yeah, that Gengar did go for Trick Room on turn 1. We see that it is outsped by the Xurkitree and the Incineroar. So definitely trying to set up Trick Room for that Snorlax, but had to think it was going to take some sort of damage. Maybe he just has invested it bulkily enough to take an attack from Incineroar, and so he wasn't scared of being one-shot, but Davide smartly doubled, and now gets a knockoff on the Incineroar slot, gets its Berry away. That's a Bloom Doom. Oh, yeah, this game's going poorly. There's a Salamence in the back, the game is over. Even if there's not a Salamence in the back, the game's still probably over. That Moongus took that like a champ. Easy. Easy money. And so, yeah, okay. So, Davide brought Aegislash instead of Salamence, tries to have something for the Mawile besides just Incineroar. And Bulu Swords Dance. But Aegislash gets subbed. That's a very fast Aegislash, faster than the Incineroar. And the Amoonguss is Sludge Bomb, not Clear Smog, so that will definitely knock out the Bulu. Unless Incineroar wakes up right here, this game is just over. And the Aegislash reveals that his Sacred Sword, doing a decent chunk of damage to that Incineroar. Bulu reveals that it's faster than Kinugawa's Incineroar, but Incineroar stays asleep. That's just going to be game. There shouldn't be a way out of this. Yeah, and Kinugawa forfeits. That was rough. That was real rough. That was real rough. So how does Kinugawa come back? So the first thing I think he needs to do is he needs to not let his Gengar get one-shot turn 1 by being doubled. That is a good start. Second, I think Mega Gengar is not even really that great here. But he does need Trick Room up, and I'm not sure how Kinugawa gets Trick Room up consistently in front of just like Incineroar Aegislash lead or something like that. I feel like Incineroar Aegislash lead is just really threatening, and there's not much you can do about it. So, and Xurkitree is also difficult to deal with the Amoonguss and the Incineroar, especially if he gets to +3. Tree Boy is a threat. So he does go with Gengar Incineroar as opposed to Gengar Bulu, which I think is a lot better, having the potential Fake Out Pressure turn 1. But Davide leading Amoongus this time, ready to spore whatever needs sporing. Probably that Gengar doesn't want Trick Room going off, but could spore the Incineroar. Yeah, gets a fake out on the Incineroar. Can't fake out anything else. Gengar subs. Am I just... That's a sub Trick Room Gengar. Apparently. Oh, hello. We're dropping frames. We back? So that substitute is going to work out well for him. He's trapped in the Amoongus and the Incineroar. Davide didn't want to switch. He was preparing for something like precisely this lead. But now he's stuck with no damage. You know, Kinugawa's Incineroar can kind of just switch out or just attack the Amoongus. I assume the Gengar doesn't have Protect. Because you want your stabs. Hulu gets knocked off on the switch-in and spored on the switch-in. Greedy from Davide. He wanted to, you know, only hit the Incineroar that was there, but he couldn't commit himself to hitting the switch-in. And so Gengar does have Protect, so it doesn't have Shadow Ball. It doesn't have Sludge Bomb. And then he switches Incineroar in to take the Sludge Bomb. Smart. Smart. But, gets poisoned, unfortunately. Okay. Good knockoff. Take off the berry. Flare Blitz goes into the Amoongus and reveals its Akka Berry. Not a very common choice. But because of the Akka Berry, Davide is able to trade his Amoongus for the Incineroar. Or most of his Amoongus' health. For some reason, Kinugawa Shadow Balled the Incineroar, feeling a bit greedy, trying to spread his damage in case the Amoongus protected. But, didn't pay off, and his Incineroar lost his Incineroar for it. Here, gets a Shadow Ball on the Amoongus, and so presumably Bulu is going to go for something like a Superpower, or just a Swords Dance. Yes. Plus 2 Z move is actually quite strong, and the Incineroar on Davide's side is at is at 2 stages of reduced attack. So most Incineroar don't have Protect. So this turn I would expect to see Kinugawa Shadow Ball the Amoongus. He needs to protect his Tapu Bulu by KOing the Amoongus. And then just Z move the Incineroar. Knock it out. Davide doesn't really have much to deal with that. I guess he could, you know, double protect Amoongus just to prevent the double knockout, but instead tries to, you know, see if he could take the Shadow Ball. Flare Blitzes the Bulu, hoping for the crit or the burn. Gets neither, though. And Bloom Doom's going to knock out the Incineroar easily. Now it really depends on what Davide's last Pokemon is. If he has Salamence, could have been a good case to be made. Goes for Hidden Power with the Circuitry. Will he get the correct Shadow Ball target? Hidden Power didn't knock out. He Shadow Balls the Gengar instead of the Bulu. That's not going to be good enough, and Woodhammer will knock out the Circuitry. That's just game. I don't think there's any... Yeah, there's a Snorlax. So here, you just substitute High Horsepower. If you have High Horsepower. Yeah, I think you reveal High Horsepower if you have it. Just to seal up the game for 100%. And that's going to be game 2 in the books. So what Kinugawa went for here is he just went for a kind of faster Gengar mode as opposed to the slow Gengar mode. Got Incineroar to force the Fake Out into the Incineroar and to get the Intimidate. And then got a solid, you know, set of turns where he got the Bulu in for free on the Spore. If Davide had read the Bulu switch in, he would have been able to pressure that quite a bit, but he instead, you know, wanted to Spore the Incineroar after it Flare Blitzed the Amoongus. And so that was a bit risky. Not risky, it just didn't work out well. exactly. So in Game 3, the big answer to the question of Game 1 is Kinugawa just doesn't sack his Gengar turn 1 and everything should work out okay. Gengar doesn't have a way to hit Incineroar, but Davide wasn't focusing the Incineroar, wasn't focusing the Gengar down, which I feel like it's a bit greedy on his end. Kinugawa goes with Gothitelle this game. That's very surprising. And Davide going, oh my... That's competitive Gothitelle! That's competitive Gothitelle! What is this? What is going on? Why is there a competitive Gothitelle on my screen? That's almost certainly getting faked out, and potentially with a Tail Glow from Xurkitree. Not exactly sure what Kinugawa goes for here, because there's a potential for Davide to double up into the Gengar slot. Okay, first, Gengar switches into Incineroar, gonna try and prevent the double up into the Gengar slot like in Game 1, and Davide does go for precisely that double up. Protects the Gothitelle in case of the other way, of the other side, and in so doing, reveals that Xurkitree is Adrenaline Orb. Gets a good fake out onto the Incineroar. Xurkitree gets a knockout on Kinugawa's Incineroar. We'll see if... And Gothitelle shows that it has the Trick Room as well, not just the Gengar. But losing your Incineroar for that doesn't seem ideal. So here, Snorlax probably going for Belly Drum or something like that. I don't know what this Gothitelle's moveset is. I honestly could not tell you what it has. Presumably Psychic, Trick Room, Protect, Hidden Power Fighting. But Kinugawa just going for the high horsepower and Psychic into the... Strong play from Kinugawa. And that Snorlax does not have a berry. That is Banded Snorlax. And that is +3 Gothitelle. So here, Gothitelle probably wants to go for a Protect, and Snorlax just... Well, no, so... You need a high horsepower, but, like, what do you high horsepower? Can Gothitelle even touch Incineroar? So, Kinugawa needs to get out of the Intimidate, switches in Gengar, probably sacrificing his Gengar to a Thunderbolt from that Xurkitree. That is a bulky Gengar. Only takes 1.5 times as much damage as a Snorlax. And switches back into the Snorlax. Psychics one-shots the Xurkitree. Incineroar knocks off, doesn't knock out the Gothitelle, which is Grassy Seed. That's insane. I assume the Snorlax is thick fat, by the way. From the Flare Blitz damage. We actually should have been able to tell from the fact that Flare Blitz did 16% from a neutral, from a -1 Incineroar, that it was not... that it was thick fat. So here, Snorlax probably wants to KO the Incineroar through any means possible. Presumably high horsepower, but I don't even know at this point. I think Davide could win. So let's say Snorlax goes for high horsepower and misses, and Aegislash subs, and then gets a Sacred Sword off on the Snorlax. He also, I mean, self-destruct here is most likely if Snorlax has it. But, so the problem with self-destruct is if you self-destruct and, then Aegislash just substitutes. And then, you know, could potentially knock out both of them. But Aegislash goes for the Sacred Sword, doesn't even knock out the Snorlax, and that is going to be Game 3. So we just saw Trick Room Gengar, competitive Grassy Seed Gothitelle, Swords Dance Bulu, and Ban Snorlax. KO. So, Galactic, I think the reason that Incineroar doesn't have... Maybe Incineroar doesn't have Protect. A lot of Berry Incineroar don't have Protect either. I think that was really awesome. I was really enjoying that. I think Kinugawa is using some really fun Pokemon. Does anyone know... So activity was at X40. Let's see what else is going on. So let's get Wigglyinho versus Feist on this. What game is this? Game 2? Jonas Weevil won Game 1. So let's watch Game 2 from the beginning. So, Gengar Incineroar lead. Classic, Feist leads Gothitelle Bulu. Not exactly sure why. But maybe you bring your double fairies into this matchup in order to, get the double fairy catch. Turn 2 Fake Out is always really good. Incineroar catches a Sludge Bomb. That looks like berry damage. Yep, there's the berry. Jonas makes a good read on the Gothitelle protecting. Illumise switches in. Presumably Trick Room, presumably Encore Illumise with Prankster. Not sure why you wouldn't. Okay, and so Gothitelle Shattered Psyches to break out of the Encore. But didn't even Encore the Incineroar, and it's a double into the Illumise. Gothitelle took no damage from that knockoff. Mawile switch in, gets the extra Intimidate. Gothitelle can't be encored. Fake Tears Illumise gets taunted. Smart play, Gothitelle gets knocked, but doesn't matter. Now you could just switch out the Goth if you wanted, or not. Protect there is fine. Rock Slide is smart, does good damage to the Incineroar. Taunt goes into Goth, doesn't matter. Illumise flinches. Then you just Rock Slide again and switch out into Tapu Bulu, or it's Psychic. It's fine. Rock Slide. The guy's in, switch into Bulu, Protect. Shadow Ball into Mawile. Flamethrower into Mawile, so doesn't waste the Z move, smart. Double Protect. Double into the Mawile. Risky play from Feist, but it looks like he had to go for it. Presumably... I'm sorry that there are vegetable cutting in the background. It's my house, guys. Like, it's not my fault. Ooh, disable Flamethrower into the Bulu. But Bulu just gets that Wood Hammer, knocks it out. And Mawile can't go for Iron Head, but it's not going to be enough. The double protect did seem to be really important in determining the winner of this game. I'm going to be back, guys. I need a drink of water. Need a bit of a snack. But we're going to have some Game 3 action coming up shortly. Right, he can't Encore Incineroar because Incineroar is immune to Prankster. I have no clue how Gengar Komao works. I'm sorry, guys. I can't give you good commentary on like what Jonas needs to do differently because I don't know his plans or his potential plans. This is a pretty good position for Feist. He'll fake out Trick Room. Presumably a faster fake out than the Incineroar. Gothitelle gets Trick Room off. Komao can't switch. Gothitelle has Psyche and Z. So, unless Shadow Ball crits here, I think this will go very bad for Jonas. If you want to be really rogue, you could drop the Psychium Z into Gengar right here. And just Ice Beam the Komao. But I wouldn't do that. I feel like that's just a bit risky. But Komao is protecting here. It has to. I think Gengar has to go for Shadow Ball into Gothitelle. So you could make the play that will work, but if Jonas makes like next level prediction, Z moves with Komao here because he thinks there's no other way out, then you can get a lot of mileage out of Feist making what should be the correct play. But yeah, Z moves going into one of these slots. Or you could just regular Psychic the Gengar. And so Gothitelle does go for the Shattered Psych into the Incineroar. You wanted the chip damage, if nothing else. That's why I wanted to put it into the Komao, even if Komao was protecting. So Feist went for the read on Komao protecting. Went for the play that should work, but Jonas got the Incineroar switching, which was very smart. Now he has to fake out Z-move if he wants it. And if I'm Feist, he did bring Politoed, so he does have the Rain mode here. Probably didn't bring Tapu Bulu. Fake out goes into the Ludicolo, though. Z-move from Komao. I believe it is Assault Vest Ludicolo usually, so it won't be able to get the knockouts, but it got the boost. I don't know how you... and Politoed switched out with the eject button. But now Ludicolo is slower than Komao because Trick Room. Like, that turn 2 was really bad. I think you needed the chip. Unless this Mawile has Play Rough. Play Rough would be very strong here for Feist. But this game should just be over. Switch out Incineroar into Gengar, maybe? You switch out Incineroar here to reset your Fake Out, reset your Intimidate. You don't really care about most of your other Pokemon. Maybe you don't Clang here. Maybe you just go for Flamethrower into the Ludicolo slot with your Como. Maybe you do something like switch in Illumise and Flamethrower. But instead, Jonas knocks off the Ludicolo and flinches with his Como. So Mawile getting the pretty critical flinch when he needed it. Now Ludicolo can come in, fake out the Incineroar. Iron Head will knock out Como from here. So, but then he could go for the Ice Beam outside of Trick Room in order to deal the necessary damage to Como. But again, if there was just that chip, through Protect with the Shattered Psych, I think this would have been a much better game state. And I think it would have been fine, even if Gothitelle had been knocked out for it. So Como does Protect. Fake Out goes into the Incineroar. Mawile goes for Iron Head, just clean, standard plays. Not wanting to make anything risky happen. Makes a lot of sense. Here, Incineroar should still switch out. It should have switched out a long time ago, but might go for knockoff into the Ludicolo just to prevent Ludicolo from damaging the Gengar, maybe. You don't want your Gengar to just get KO'd before it can do anything, and Rain Boosted Water moves are a good way to do that. Dodges the Hydro Pump. Close combats with Como. Not Flamethrower. Knock off into the Ludicolo. Mawile KOs the Como. It was already going to, so dropping the close combat is not necessarily the worst thing in the world. Eugenio is sorry, but using Hydro Pump, if you click Hydro Pump a bunch of times, some of them are going to miss. I don't really like this Rain team coming out from Feist. Illumise. That's what it's called, man. There's the Gengar, there's the Toad. Incineroar should just switch out. No reason to keep Incineroar in right now. And protect the Gengar. Or not protect the Gengar. You don't have to protect the Gengar, but you totally could protect the Gengar. There's a Scald into the Greninja. And Feist just Iron Heads the Gengar. Playing it, safe. Don't necessarily like that, but I don't think there were many other options that he had. This should be a Scarf Greninja. So, yeah, there's a Shadow Ball. It is not Scarf Greninja. It is Waterfall Greninja. It is Waterfall Protean Greninja. I think I'm going to pause the stream, and I'll be back when next round starts, so I can, work things out with Talon and so forth. Be right back.